the business of being a novelist it's tricky. And right now, I work in the small press world. I am a small press novelist. I primarily publish through Severed Press, and they're out of Hobart, Tasmania, Australia. So it's a global reach kind of thing there. I've also published with Permuted Press, which is another small press, and I publish with Bellbridge Books. And they're three completely different experiences, which is what cracks me up when we're in the age of self-publishing, indie publishing now too, where an author does not need a publisher. You can do all the work and be a publisher yourself and put your book out there. You bet. And the level of quality is the amount of time and money and effort you want to put into it. But when anyone says, "Oh, publishers are," and then make a blanket industry statement, it just cracks me up, because in my experience in the small press world, I've had three distinctly different experiences. Severed Press are guerrilla. They're as close to being like an indie self-publisher as you can get. I hand them a manuscript. They get it proofread. We get a cover made. We get the blurb back cover, blurb description put together, and boom, it's published within about 2 weeks, 3 weeks of me submitting that manuscript to them. That's fast. Most, traditional big publishers in New York, you're looking at 12 to 18 months after submitting your manuscript. And there's a reason for that. It's not because they're big, slow monoliths. They have a massive amount of product that they have to schedule, and you're just waiting in line. I mean, the marketing department can only do so much. The editors can only edit so fast. The art design can only be done so quickly, and they've got thousands of books to do it with. So working with someone like Severed, who can within 3 weeks get a product out there, is great, because that allows me to compete with the indie self-published authors who are doing the same thing. They're cranking one out every 6 weeks or so. Then working with Permuted Press was totally different. They were a small press that was bought by a large media company, and the large media company wanted them to be more like a New York traditional publisher, but then they were trying to cram stuff out as much, basically shotgunning the target or throwing as much spaghetti against the wall to see what would stick with stuff, and quality went down because they were taking anything they could. They weren't paying attention to marketing. I'm not trying to slam them, but their approach, they didn't know what they were. And that hurt. I've actually got some of my best writing in some of those books, and they just died on the vine. And then now working with Bellbridge Books, they're more like a traditional publisher. They started in 1999 before ebooks, and have been a successful small press since then. To be alive for 18, 19 years as a small press is pretty impressive. And they work more like a traditional publisher. It takes them a little longer because they go through story edits, you go through copy edits, and you go through page proofs. And then you've got to get, you double check your arcs, the actual printed book. So many things that, so I turned in a manuscript to them, and I think realistically they look at 8 to 12 months before they want to get it out there. With me, I think they move a little faster because they know my readers are used to things coming out a little faster. And so, they've adapted somewhat, but at the same time, they're way more traditional. So I've had three completely different experiences with three different publishers in the small press world. And I know a lot of authors who have had different experiences with the same publisher, but different editors within that. They've had what's funny, making a blank, whenever I hear any author, someone up and coming, any indie, self-published writer, making a blanket statement about the industry, it just cracks me up, because it actually speaks more to their lack of knowledge, their ignorance of how things actually work, and how inexperienced they are in the publishing world. Doesn't mean they're not successful in what they're doing. There's plenty of writers out there who are successful putting quality product out and have never worked with a publisher before. But if you haven't worked in publishing, maybe not make major comments about publishing. That's just kind of how I see it.